Okay, so we have, say hi everybody. Everybody. Hi to yourselves, right? Be like, oh yeah, good times. I remember that. So I've set up an HTML doc here. This is for the Bootstrap grid, the body. And so we've got the navigation set up here, and I've set up, first of all, I've set up a container. So if I spin that up, the container contains the whole body. As I said before, we can also do container fluid. And so I can just say fluid. Both are perfectly acceptable. And this, I think works better with mobile. So I'm going to actually go with fluid. Skipping over this, we've got, like I said, we've roughed in the menu, and we can refine that later. But I'm going to go down to the end of the nav. And actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a comment in here. And I've shown you guys this before, but I want to show you again. I want to make sure that you know this is a comment. So so I can just put a comment in here that tells us what's going on below this. So, we did the Exxon Valdez. This is what we're shooting for, and I've already completed the nav and the nav bar. So really where we're at is right here in this point, this corner here. And I'm just going to create a grid to contain this whole page. So the first thing is this whole page, and I've kind of given you a pass on the navigation, and on this window you can actually just use the image that's included. And so I've already downloaded it, but I'm going to put a link into that later. So really, this is just a row. So I'm going to just say, look, we're going to do a row. So it's div class row, and we're going to close it, and I'm going to close the div. And then I'm going to do a column. So I go div class column, and I want the one column to go all the way across. So it's going to span 12 columns. So it'll span 12 columns. So I'm going to select column large 12, and again I'm going to close it. Close the div. And I'm just going to, right now, I'm just going to put a placeholder in here. I'm not going to try to mess around with any sub divs or any other classes or anything else. I'm just going to say, this is my header image. So I'm done. And this is where copy paste comes in great. So now I'm here. So I'm going to do this, and what I want to do is I'm going to split this. I was going to split this into 3 equal areas, but look, it's not 3 equal areas, right? So what I decided to do when I did this, I decided to just say, look, we're going to just make this one single row here, and I'll break these into my own divs later. So I'm going to do something like maybe 40 and 30 and 30%. So I have this this row, but you would think normally, oh, we're going to do the grid spacing on this. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to make my own divs, and I'll worry about that later. So here's the good news. Ready? I'm done. Okay, so we'll call this is my slideshow, and donate button. Okay, that was easy. Next one. Same drill. This one this is easy, right? We can split this into 3 equal cells. So how big are my columns going to be? 4, right? Because I get a total of 12. I got to divide it by 3. So again, I'm gonna shortcut this, and I'm gonna just copy this row, and I'm gonna delete my body here, and I'm gonna just say, all right, let's clean this up a little bit. And so here's my row, and I'm going to say, look, this is just going to be 4. So I'm going to do 3 4s. And actually here, before I even type, I'm going to just say article. Boom. Article 1, Article 2, Article 3. So my row's done. You know what I can do, and this is probably a good time to do this, is to come up to my commands now and do a source, apply source formatting. I'm going to click on that, and it kind of cleans up my my indenting, and it makes it a little cleaner to go. Here's, you know, and again, this is another really good time to use some commenting, because really, I mean, the main problem you guys are going to have, and everybody has, is you build these divs, you get one div missing, you know, you forget to close one, or you get one thing out of place, it's broken, and then you have to sit there and troubleshoot it. So the cleaner you can make it at the beginning, and the slower you go and make sure that it's working, the better off you will be. So I'm going to actually just put comments in here for each row and say, this is row 2, say row 1, row 3, and so on. Row 4. So what's row 4? Let's go look at row 4. So we've got row 1. So rows, we'll call it row 0. Row 0 is our navigation, but it's not really a row, right? We're just putting navigation in there. It doesn't need to be in a row. Row 1, row 2, row 3. Row 4 is my footer. So my footer is what? Let's have a quick look. I've got these layouts. You know, the spacing on this is atrocious, and I want it to be equal. I don't, you know, on this layout, it's not equal, but it's bugging me, and I want it to be equal. So this is, I'm gonna take a little artistic license. So this one's gonna be a 4, right? So if I just take this row 3 code and paste it there, and say, okay, we're going to do a 3, a 3, a 3, and we'll add one more row, another 3. I'm good. Foot 1, foot 2, foot 3, foot 4. It's not going to look like much. So I'm gonna hop over to live mode here and look at this. So it's kind of like, yeah, great, wonderful. You did a great job there, Jeff. You can kind of see it, you know. You can, as I click through here. But one of the things we can do is we can start throwing some color in here, or I can throw, you know, on my style sheet, I can start throwing, you know, other styles, and adjusting the heights of these as well. So let me just do that just for grins, and I'm going to split it.
Is it based just so we could actually like see them other than like dotted outlines? We just throw it and fill?
Yeah, exactly. What you can do is, and what I've done in the past is like go over to my lolcat. The question was, can you just put in a fill? And what I've done in the past is said things like, actually I'll go to the bottom here. What is it? Dot call large 12. And so this is a great little cheat. You can just do this: 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So what I'm going to get when I do this is it allows me to define a style for every large column in here. I can say background white. And I'm going to say border 1 pix solid red. So now you can start to see this. And actually, I can even go a step further and say, look, let's set the height to, like, I don't know, 50 pixels. Now I'm starting to see what's going on here. My little border outlines are a little funky. There it goes. As soon as you refresh. But now I can start to say, all right, hey, whoa, what? This is actually starting to look like what I want it to look like. Where's my zoom? Here we go.
Do you want us to have a separate CSS?
Well, you got to have be able to override the CSS from Bootstrap, and that's you definitely do not want to modify if you downloaded the Bootstrap. I think some of the instructions in here, some of the older instructions say go and get the CSS and download it. You don't need to do that now because you can just link to it. So I need to go delete all those videos that tell you to do that. But you definitely don't want to modify the Bootstrap CSS, because what happens when they come out with, they're on whatever 3.1.1, when they come out with 3.2 and they've made some cool changes, you want to be able to just throw that new code in there and swap it out. That's why they call it a library, right? So you don't write in the book pages in the library. So I can add some color to each of these articles, and set these text up. I'm going to make sub kind of navigation, and so I can do things now like, well, okay, so if I come back to here, this is a class row, and well, actually, where's my header image? So here's my slideshow. Well, what I'm going to do now is actually I take that back. I'm going to drop in my my divs for this, right? So I'm just going to say, okay, instead of in my slideshow, I'm just going to set up 3 divs in here, and I'm going to make up my own class because I'm going to. I'm going to make up my own class because I want to be able to have control. So I'm just going to call this SSD for slideshow donate. Just don't want to use a class that is the same as what's been used in Bootstrap. You don't want to use their classes. You want to use your own. And actually, I've got a, and then I'm going to call it I'm going to add another class called narrow. So the reason I did that is because it goes narrow, wide, narrow. So my middle class is going to be wide. Now watching my style. Now again, I'm not telling you how to do this. This is just how I'm going to do it, and it's just one way of doing it. If you guys if you've already done something else, or you want to figure something else out, go for it. Like I said, I'm just kind of spitballing, we'll call it. So what did I say? It's SSD, right? So dot SSD. And I'm going to say SSD narrow. Oops, dot narrow is going to be 30%. And wide is going to be 40%. Let's see what we get here. If I come up here. Now it's hard to see, isn't it? Actually, does that need to be? Well, let's put here on the wide, let's put a different background in. Oops, that's the problem right there. Whoops, close it. So now I come up. What am I missing? Gotta have some content in there, that's why. If there's no content in the width of these, then it won't. It's not happy. And so then the other thing I'm going to do is on both of these, actually just on SSD, I'm going to set it to say, look, no margin and no padding. So it's still doing something funky here, and I think it's because the 12 column has padding inside it, and so I'm out of space. You notice I've got padding over here, so I've got to override that by saying, look, on column large 12, and actually I can set it here if I want, 0px. Nope. Yeah, so I'm still having a little bit of problems with this because it's still breaking this into width. I can cheat it by just reducing this like down to 25% and 35%, but it's better to just play around with it and get the margins down to 0. You can see here that now my margins are okay, but for whatever reason I'm still getting width of this. Oh, I know what it is. I want to display inline. So there we go. So now these are all the wrong size. Padding, display, width. Oops, that's why. 30, 40. Okay. Anyways, so play around with this. It's not perfect, but you can start to see what I'm going to do. Is I'm going to take a narrow, I'm going to do a wide, and then do a narrow, and I'll put the content in later. But that's the bulk of kind of the layout. So I'm going to stop recording, and we'll